everybody, welcome back to My Wings of Refuge. I'm excited today, y'all. It has been a wonderful week and this is the day the Lord has made, and so I am rejoicing in it. And what an exciting day we're going to have today, because one, it's thundering outside and we desperately need some rain. So if you hear me screaming and shouting in a few minutes, you'll know what that's about. But today we are going to make one of my husband's favorite jams, and that is a spiced peach jam. So let's get going. Okay, so we're all ready. Well, we're going to start with adding to our pot. We want 7 cups of sugar. And if you want to cut the sugar a little bit, you can cut the sugar. Just know you're going to be cooking a lot longer, but that's okay. Next, we want a tablespoon of lemon juice. Then our spices. Last but not least, our peaches.
If you come across a peach with a bad spot on it, just be sure to cut that part off. In this recipe, we're going to use the skins, but these have been scrubbed really well. But you can't scrub off just bad spots, so we're going to cut those out and keep going.
So we're just going to stir all of our ingredients really well. If your peaches are like mine and rather firm, you can go ahead and add just maybe 1/4 cup of water just to get them going if you'd like. Sure smells good. So now our goal is to just stir frequently until your sugar and everything is melted and incorporated really well. But then you'll stir occasionally until these are broken down really well. So while we're waiting on our peaches to cook, it is time to get our water bath canner ready. Now I have filled it with my little tiny half-pint jars, my jelly jars. That's what I prefer for all my jams and jellies, because I know how long it takes me to go through one of those small jars, and I like to figure out how many of those small jars I need overall for a year to know how many jams and jellies that I need to make for a year's time. Let me correct that. I never make jelly. Never, ever, ever. But I do make lots of jams and preserves because I always use the fruit. I don't strain any of that out. I always use the fruit, and I don't use any pectins, any store-bought artificial pectins that come in a powder. But anyway, so while our peaches are cooking, our jars are in here in water. I've got the eye on high. We want this to cook, simmer, boil for a good 15 minutes. We won't have any problem. It's going to take a hot minute for those peaches. So we got plenty of time. And in the meantime, when this gets warm and hot, we'll get our flats warming up also. Now, if you want to use an immersion blender to break up your lumps, I don't mind mine a little chunky, but I do want to break up some of these lumps, so now's a good time. We have here our flats that are warming. We have our jam right here that is currently, when you're checking the temperature, give it a good stir and don't let the end of your thermometer touch the bottom of the pan. So lift it up just a little, give it a good stir so you get an accurate temperature. I am currently at 219, so it won't be but just a minute. And I just hit 220. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get our jars out and start filling them so we can get them going. I'm only going to start with the first 4 jars because I don't want to get all of my jars cooled down too much. And then we're just going to fill them to a 1/4 inch headspace. Okay, now we're going to check for a 1/4 inch and adjust accordingly. Wipe these rims really good. Make sure there's nothing sticky on them at all. Ah, they're hot. And we're going to add our flats. Then rings, finger tight. I'm going to go ahead and put these back in the canner and get our next jars out. We're going to lower these into our water. Make sure your water covers the tops of your jars by at least 1 inch. And I see a few bubbles already, but as soon as you see some good steady bubbles, that is when we'll set our timer.
When you have a little bit left in the pan, you scoop it all out, you put it in your spoon, but blow it good because it's hot. And then you enjoy it because you sweated over it. Yes, you did. Just what I needed.
We are at a rolling boil. We're going to set our timer for 10 minutes. That's all, just 10 minutes. Water bath canning is pretty fast. I'm going to turn on the vent, soak up some of this steam so it doesn't fog up my windows and warm up my house. We'll be back in 10 minutes. There's our timer. So it has been 10 minutes. All I'm going to do is turn the heat off, just off. I'm going to let this sit and calm down all on its own, and all those bubbles stop and just the steam stop, and let it come to as close to room temperature really as possible. The main thing in canning you don't want is major temperature fluctuations. So if you have hot liquid going into hot jars, going into a hot canner, then you want the hot to slow down naturally, and you want your warm jars to come out to room temperature because you're rising that temperature slowly. If you take very hot jars out right now and I set them on the countertop, there's a chance some of them might not seal. I don't want that. I put this much work into it, I want them to seal, yes. And you did not hear me scream and shout during this video because I didn't get any rain. It has thundered, it has done a lot of thundering. Everybody around me has gotten lots of rain. I haven't gotten any rain, and I promised the ducks it was going to rain, but I still have hope. There's always hope. There is always hope. So I'm going to cool this down. I'm going to go feed the cows and Clover, and I'll be back. Okay, y'all, it doesn't take long to melt outside. It is so warm. But let's raise these up. Ta-da! And I'm just going to let them sit here for another 5 minutes or so. Time to set these out on the counter. Thank you so much for watching today's video, y'all. I hope you enjoyed it. And remember, there really and truly is hope for everything in this world. There is hope in Christ Jesus. Y'all have a great day. Have a great week. Happy canning, and I'll see you next time.